The candle didn't burn, it consumed. He stood in the center of the chamber, bare feet pressing into linen so new, it still held the ghost of starch, the kind that bites the skin just before it yields. Above him the hair drifted, slow, deliberate, a strand of midnight threaded with something older than dusk. It did not flutter. It descended like a promise made in a language no tongue could speak. His fingers found the teacup first, cold. Not the chill of glass or porcelain, but the deep cold that lingers after death, after the last breath is exhaled, and the body forgets it was ever warm. He lifted it, not with care, but with the motion of someone who had held this cup 1,000 times, in 1,000 rooms, each time knowing, without knowing why, that if he let go, something would break. The surface shimmered, not with steam, not with reflection, with glyphs, tiny, looping script, half-formed and dissolving as soon as they formed. Forgive me, gone before the breath left his lips, still here, flickered like a heartbeat caught in glass. Don't let go. He pressed his thumb to the crack along the rim. The ink there did not bleed. It listened. For 3 heartbeats he felt it. The weight of an unsent letter, folded twice, tucked beneath a pillow, buried under snow. The key turned again. A soundless click. A drop fell, black as tar, heavy with the scent of jasmine and salt water. It vanished before it kissed the floor. No splash, no mark, only absence where the liquid had been. He watched the thread holding it tremble, thinning, fraying at the ends. The spine-shaped key hovered just below the bed's canopy, suspended not by wire, nor magnet, but by something older. The echo of a vow. He moved toward the bed. The subject lay still, nude, translucent. Vines like blue rivers beneath skin that might have been spun from parchment, stretched over bone and breath. The lips moved, not in speech, in repetition. A mantra stitched into muscle memory, silent, rhythmic, eternal. You promised you'd come back when the candle went out. He remembered that voice, not clearly, never clearly, only as warmth against his throat at dawn, as the curve of a shoulder pressed to his side beneath rough cotton sheets, as the hush between 2 breaths, one slow, one faster, before sleep swallowed them whole. Mirabel. The name came without origin, a scent on air he'd never breathed. The word lived behind his sternum, lodged there like a splinter of glass that refused to pierce skin, but never stopped bleeding light. He reached for the key. Fingers closed around it. Cold. Sharp. Alive. It pulsed once, a rhythm matching his own heartbeat, before the metal yielded, as if it had been waiting for this touch since the first pyre was lit. The portraits in the hall had watched him pass. Their faces dissolved as he drew near. A woman with a crown of thorn blossom, a child holding a lantern made of moth wings, a king whose eyes were 2 smoldering embers. None had spoken. All had turned their hollow gaze upon him, not in recognition, but in resignation. He remembered them now. The scriptorium, the smell of ink and burnt parchment rising like smoke from 1,000 quills, the monk who wept as he copied verses meant to outlast gods, his tears falling into the inkwell and turning each word silver. The Aztec pyramid at first light, stone still warm from the night's sacrifice, blood drying on the altar in patterns only the stars could read. The battlefield beneath the moon cracked like an eggshell, soldiers frozen mid-scream, swords still singing their last note. He had been there. Always. But never in it. Never among them. Never with skin that aged. Never with hands that trembled from labor. Not from awe. The socks on the wall, blue and green, still radiated heat. He crossed the room to them. Fingers brushed wool thin as tissue, frayed where a child's toes had curled through winter nights, stitched into each heel. A spiral, delicate, uneven, not machine-made, hand-knit duxie. One thread slightly too long on the 3rd row, caught like a sigh in fabric. He lifted one sock. It clung to his palm, warm as living skin. The scent rose, lavender and lanolin. A mother's hands, Lullabies hummed between teeth while stitching, voice low enough to soothe dreams, but strong enough to survive memory's erosion. You held me, the wool whispered. His breath hitched, not from sorrow, from recognition. He had knitted these, or someone who loved him did, and that someone, her, had died. Not in fire, not in famine, not in war, but in silence, in forgetting. The key burned in his grip. He returned to the bed, kneeling. The subject's chest rose and fell, slow as tides on forgotten shores. Beneath translucent skin, a lattice of blue light pulsed, vines threading through flesh like constellations, mapped by a dying hand. He lifted the key above the sternum, pressed. The bronze met bone with the sound of glass breaking underwater. No cry came from the subject, not even a twitch, but his own body answered. A fissure split open along his left collarbone, thin as a blade's edge, deeper than any wound ever carved by sword or claw. Silver blood oozed, not red, not black, but liquid moonlight, each drop lifting into air before it could fall, dissolving into ash that smelled of ink and laughter, long buried. He did not flinch. The key sank, past cartilage, through muscle to heartwood. A warmth spread through him, fierce as a newborn's first breath, not pain. Release, like stepping out of a robe he'd worn for centuries, stitched with names of dead emperors, lined with the prayers of widows, weighted by the grief of children who never knew their fathers' faces. The key did not stop. It buried itself, until only the loop remained, visible beneath skin like a brand made from memory's own residue. The filament that had held it snapped. Silence fell, deeper than before, not empty, absent. He turned then, slowly, as if every muscle remembered how to move after eons of stillness, and looked toward the teacup, still on the floor, still half filled with shimmering glyphs. His reflection rose in its surface, and was not there. No nose, no jaw, no brow. Only two hollows where eyes had been, glowing now, faintly, with the same blue as the candle's core. He raised a hand. Fingers passed through his own image, unimpeded, like smoke. The journal lay open beside him, pages curling inward at their edges, ink fading from dark to gray, then to nothing. The final line, "I called you Mirabel," had been there since he entered the room, fresh as dawn. Now the letters began to dissolve, not smudged, not erased, unmade. One by one, the ink peeled away, rising like moths made of ash. The candle's flame flickered, not from wind, not from exhaustion, from completion. It bent inward, sucked into its own shadow. No smoke curled up, no last breath of light escaped. One moment, blue at heart, gray at rim. The next, nothing. Only the scent, beeswax and obsidian dust, clinging to the air like the ghost of a name. On the bed, the subject opened their eyes, iris clear as glazed porcelain, unblinking, calm. They looked not toward him, not toward the key buried in chest, but beside them, to the empty space where someone once lay, where a face had been. A voice formed on their lips and soft as silk unfurling after centuries of fold. "Mirabel." The strand of hair settled upon the pillow. One final breath escaped the subject's mouth. Cool, sweet, like incense from an altar left unattended, and the linen beneath them folded tighter, as though something had just slipped free. He did not speak, did not weep, did not reach for her. His fingers curled into fists. The silver blood on his collarbone evaporated completely now. Each droplet vanished with a whisper. "Forgive me. Still here, don't let go." Outside, in the hollows of the world, cities crumbling, stars dying, children forgetting their mother's hands, time resumed its march. No one noticed. No one ever did. The journal's final page was blank. Only the clasp remained, two entwined hands, cold and silent, still holding nothing.